I'm so grateful to live in a democracy. I'm so grateful to live in a republic. You know, Ireland is a republic, the United States of America is a republic, and I vote in every election and every opportunity that I can vote. And I'm so grateful for the countries that I've lived in, both Ireland and here in the United States of America. But as a believer in Jesus Christ, I'm also under a higher government than a democracy, and that is a monarchy. We are under a kingdom as believers, and Jesus is king. When it comes to our journey with Christ, we have to have a renewing of our minds, especially those that have been raised in a democracy or in a republic. Because we think that, you know, everything gets elected in, and we all have our votes, and we all have our rights, and we all have our entitlements, and we have our constitution, and we have all these things that give us the power to run our own lives and to elect who we decide and who we choose to have in power. But when it comes to our belief in Jesus Christ, we are under a kingdom, and Jesus is King of Kings and He is Lord of Lords. So we have to have a renewing of our minds. You know, we can't just bust up into somebody's government house or the White House or any type of government facility any way that we want. We've got to come the way that the secretary or the guard tells us that we can go to speak to the dignitary or the leader. It's the same when it comes to Jesus and His kingdom. We can't just walk before Jesus' throne any old way that we want. We can't just arrogantly walk in there and say, well, I elected you in, and high five Jesus. Listen, Jesus is not some elected official that is in for a certain amount of time and is our buddy and our friend. No, Jesus is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Jesus may have come the first time through a virgin birth, but the next time He comes, He's riding on a horse with military power behind Him and vengeance in His heart. And I'm telling you, when He comes back, it's going to be completely different. He came as a humble servant, but He's coming as a conquering king. And when Jesus comes back, we got to condition our minds to what it means to be living under the dominion of a king, what it means to be in a kingdom, especially when we've been privileged to be a part of a democracy and a republic. Listen, when it comes to serving Jesus Christ as a king, we don't have a vote. We don't have a right. We're not entitled to anything. Jesus Christ is king, and it's for His glory, it's for His honor, and we're living for everything that He wants us to live for. We've given up our rights when we come to Jesus Christ. We nailed our rights to the cross. We said, you know what, Jesus? When I want to serve You, I'm laying everything down. I don't want to get anything out of You. I don't want to just have a God that serves me. I want to serve Jesus. I want to come under His dominion, under His kingdom, under His will. He is the one that is deity. He is the one that is master and supreme leader. When we hail Jesus Christ as King of Kings and Lord of Lords, my friends, every human being that trusts Jesus as King becomes liberated and empowered. We become alive to everything God wanted us to be in the first place. There is no greater life, no greater dominion, no greater rule than being under the lordship of Jesus Christ. When Jesus Christ is Lord of our lives, it's not a miserable existence. It's not a painful existence. It's not full of anguish and, oh, why do I have to do this? No, it is the most joyful, God-honoring, liberating life we could ever live. And I want to encourage you in that today. Following Jesus is what we've been designed to do. Obeying Jesus is what fulfills the soul's cry of our heart. There is nothing that compares or matches to the leadership, governments, and employer as Christ is. Christ is the greatest one whom our soul could serve. And I want to encourage you today, come under His lordship and you will find everything in your life in full alignment. When you surrender your rights to Jesus, you'll realize you gain more rights in Jesus Christ. When you surrender our benefits and our will and our agenda and the entitlements of our flesh, and we say our lives don't matter, we want your life to be lived out through us. What God gives to us is much better than what we could have ever wanted ourselves. What God replaces with our measly desires are much bigger than any desire we could ever conjure up ourselves. God is better. God is bigger. God has so much more for us, if we would just surrender our little petty things for his grandiose plan and mission for our lives, we'll find true and utter fulfillment. I'm telling you, there is such an amazing freedom that comes when we relinquish what we thought was freedom for Christ's kingdom and lordship over our lives. There is no greater joy than serving Jesus Christ. He is the best. He is the kindest. He is the most graceful. He is the most merciful. He gives us joy. He gives us purpose. He gives us meaning. I want you to know today that when we're giving up something, we're actually gaining a lot more when it comes to Jesus. What we thought was going to be hardship and difficulty, when we come to Jesus, becomes blessing, purpose, hope, and promise for our soul. We got so much to look forward to in Christ. It's just a phenomenal life to allow his life to be lived out through us. It's a phenomenal way of thinking that it's no longer our will, it's no longer our agenda. Now it is Christ's will and Christ's agenda that's being accomplished through our lives. I want to encourage you today, guys. There has been no greater decision I've ever made in my life than making the decision to loving Jesus Christ, than trusting that everything is going to work together for good, than trusting that he's going to work this thing out, than trusting that as I let go, God holds on, that God has got us all the way to the very end. Coming under his kingdom is the greatest decision that we could ever make. We weren't really made for a republic. We weren't really made for a democracy. We were made to be under the lordship and kingship of Jesus Christ. That's why no governance or earthly governance will ever satisfy or ever be good enough for the earth. It's not until we